What is up, guys? It's me, Fantasticus. Now, I know I haven't posted in like 6 long months, but that was because of secondary school and all that. But now I'm ready again, and I'm gonna continue reading this series. So, if I recall correctly, last time we left off, Mr. Gregory just revealed to Jess that he had to sneak into Bionosoft to be able to come back to the real world. Now, let's start from where we left off. Chapter 9 Ice Bazooka. Crazy or not, Mr. Gregory was my only hope for getting out of this video game alive, which is why Eric and I soon found ourselves trudging through the woods behind our school. How much further? Eric whined after 15 minutes. Not too far, Mr. Gregory lied. We hiked for another hour before Mr. Gregory motioned for Eric to be quiet. He then pointed to an office built into the hill in front of us. Whoa, Eric whispered. I always kind of assumed that video game companies worked in sweet offices with ping pong tables and old arcade games and cardboard cutouts of Sonic the Hedgehog everywhere. While some video game companies might operate that way, Bionosoft did not seem to be one of them. The building in front of us looked more like a top secret government facility that experiments on sheep. The building was big, black, and windowless. Scary warning signs and an electric fence surrounded the whole thing. How are we supposed to get in there? I asked as we approached the fence. We weren't supposed to. The plan was for you to sneak in as the invisible kid while I helped you with a laptop I'd hidden in the wood, Mr. Gregory said. But now that we have to get both of you in, I'm out of ideas. I looked down the fence at a guardhouse 30 yards away. Maybe we don't have to both sneak in, I said. How long is the longest leash? 400 yards, Mr. Gregory said. I nodded. Follow me. I led everyone toward the guardhouse. As soon as a car pulled up and the security guard walked to the window, I motioned for Eric to follow me and crouch sprinted to the little building. We sat on the ground next to the guardhouse, me planning my next move and Eric trying to wheeze quieter. Okay, pull up the credit card screen and go wild and be ready, I said. I'm going to try to do something, but I don't know if it'll work. Eric nodded, still panting. I gave him a thumbs up and rolled through the guardhouse wall. There was the security guy, sitting at a desk in front of a panel of camera monitors. I took a deep breath and walked up to him. This was going to be super weird. I crawled underneath his chair and slowly pushed my head up. Pop! I made it through the chair and now sat face to face with the guy's large, khaki-clad bottom. Okay, this next part would be the trickiest. I located the back pocket and pushed my head ever so slightly until, pop! My face made it through the pocket. My eyeballs were now smushed up against what I'd come for, the guy's wallet. I pushed forward one more time. Pop! I could see inside his wallet. And once I took a few seconds to focus my eyes, I could even read the numbers on the credit card. I took a full minute to memorize the whole thing. I never ever wanted to do this again. Once I repeated the number back to myself a few times, I ran back to Eric. 51996455. I recited a long string of numbers as Eric typed. Okay, he said once we finished. What's the CVV code? The CVV code? What's a CVV code? How am I supposed to know? I'm not the one with the credit card. Oh wait, it says here that it's a 3-digit number on the back. I signed and walked back to the guardhouse to look through the security guy's wallet again. A minute later, I returned. It's 455. Also, I accidentally learned the color for his underwear if you want to know that too. Eric put the number in the phone. That worked! So, how much does it cost to make the leash as long as possible? I said as we scrambled away. Like, $2 or $3? The ultimate leash is $49.99. Dollars? Well, yeah, it's 400 yards long. You're telling me that a fake invisible leash inside a video game costs 50 real dollars? I mean, it's the only way you're gonna catch any of the faster wild things. I shook my head. Eric swiped a few times and I heard a very appropriate ka-ching cash register sound. Okay, your leash is upgraded now, he said. But if you're going in there by yourself, we should probably get you powered up. Really? It's not like I'm going to be fighting my way in or anything. It seems like monsters in the wild are peaceful until something attacks them, right? Eric didn't answer because he was too busy spending someone else's money. Level 3, check. Ka-ching! Ice bazooka, why not? Ka-ching! Twice as nice ice. Battle blizzard, frosty fingers. Ka-ching, ka-ching, ka-ching! My whole body started tingling. Eric! He finally looked up. How much did all of that cost? He looked back at the phone. Like $70. Eric! You want to do cool ice stuff, right? I want to pay him back. Oh. We finally made it back to Mr. Gregory. Can you borrow $120? Eric asked. Yeah, sure, Mr. Gregory said, clearly not listening. He was typing on the laptop he'd hidden in the woods, outside of Bionosoft. Come on, come on, come on! Yes! Right then, a glowing pair of glasses popped out of Mr. Gregory's computer in the same way that the pair had popped out of his phone earlier that morning. Put those on, he said to me. I bent down and grabbed them. They were definitely in the game and not real life because they didn't slip through my hands when I picked them off the ground. I put them on and noticed they seemed a little heavy. What did these do? Come look, Mr. Gregory said. Eric and I gathered around the computer. On the screen, Mr. Gregory had pulled up live video from the view of my glasses. When you're wearing those, we can see and hear everything you're experiencing in the game, and we can also communicate with you through an earpiece built into the frame. But how? I asked. The glasses aren't even real. I worked on this game. I know a few hacks. Mr. Gregory smiled, clearly quite proud of himself. Sweet! Can we have the $120 now? $120? Mr. Gregory said, with his eyes bugging out of his head. After Eric finished explaining that we needed the money for leash reasons and also how cool and necessary the ice bazooka was, Mr. Gregory finally got some cash out of his wallet, but not before making us promise that we wouldn't spend any more money. We decided to test our new system on the guard. I walked into the guardhouse. Can you see him? I whispered. Yes, and talk louder. It's okay, he can't hear you, Mr. Gregory said. I watched the guard do boring guard things. Look at the monitors, check his watch, yawn. Then he picked up his phone and started texting. Now! I yelled. Just then, Eric ran out of the woods with 2 balled-up bills, threw them into the guardhouse. Plop, plop, and ran back behind cover. When the guard heard the bills hit the ground behind him, he walked over to investigate. His eyes got huge when he picked up a $100 and a $20. Success! I yelled and got out of there. Back in the wood, Mr. Gregory gave me a thumbs up. Excellent work, Jess. Now it's time to find Mark. He pulled up an overhead view of the Bionosoft building on his computer. Okay, here's where we are. You'll go through this fence and follow the road to Bionosoft's truck loading dock. Once you get inside, I'll direct you over the earpiece. Got it. But what if I run into any monsters? It's fine. Any wild thing you come across should truly be wild, so they won't attack. And if they do attack, unleash the ice bazooka, Eric says. No ice bazooka, Mr. Gregory warned. The last thing we need is for you to get into a fight. Agree to disagree, Eric mumbled. I took a deep breath. Got it. Thanks for all your help, Mr. Gregory. Jess. Mr. Gregory got all serious. Be careful in there. We can't lose both of you. I nodded and walked through the forest towards the fence. Not through the forest like a normal person, but through the forest, as in through every tree I could find. It was very cool. I passed through the fence, pushed through some bushes, and... Uh-oh. Are you guys seeing this? I asked over the earpiece. Between me and Bionosoft was a field filled with wild things. But these wild things weren't wandering around peacefully like the ones I'd seen outside my house that morning. They were flexing and pacing, hissing, and every single one of them had glowing red attack eyes. Ice bazooka! Eric yelled over the earpiece. Mr. Gregory came on. Don't move! Why are they all in attack mode? He signed. Bionosoft must have known we were coming. Abort mission. But right then, I felt a claw slowly run down my back. I turned to see a velociraptor with glowing red eyes and sharp teeth smiling an evil smile. Chapter 10. Vinny. Ice bazooka! Run away! Eric and Mr. Gregory were both giving terrible advice. The ice bazooka would serve as a personal invitation to every wild thing on the lawn to attack at once. Running would get me about 2 steps before being devoured by an angry dinosaur. The rest of the road went dim and battle music started playing. I sized up the velociraptor in front of me. Roar! This one was even bigger and scarier than Stu's. Hey, buddy, I tried. Roar! That seemed to make him angrier. I'd like to be your friend, I continued. He does not want to be your friend, Eric yelled over the earpiece. My name is Jess. Can I call you Vinny? Vinny the Velociraptor? I reached out my hand. The dinosaur snapped a few times, but I didn't pull away. Instead, I gave it a head scratch. Rawr? The dinosaur tilted its head and wagged its tail a little bit. Its eyes flickered from glowing red to light brown. It then shook its head and let out another long Rawr! Jess, what are you doing? I heard over the earpiece. I continued scratching the velociraptor between the eyes and the tail wagging returned. The dinosaur nuzzled its nose into my chest and eventually began thumping its back leg. It eventually rolled onto its back, causing the battle music to stop and the darkness to lift. "That's a good boy," I said. "Brawr," Vinny cooed back. "I've never seen anything like that," Mr. Gregory marveled over the earpiece. "I have," I said. After a few minutes of head scratching and belly rubbing, I looked the dinosaur in the eye. "Can you help me get in there?" I asked. "Brawr." You know it can't understand you," Eric said over the radio. "Velociraptors are smart," I said. "I've seen Jurassic Park." "That's not a velociraptor. It's a Slisosaurus," Eric said. "Same difference." I turned back to Vinny. "So what do you say, buddy?" "The velociraptor?" "I'm not calling it a Slisosaurus. That's ridiculous." Jumped to its feet and bounded around me. "Ha-ha! Let's go!" I climbed onto its back and pointed to the loading dock. Vinny nodded and took off. The army of wild things on the Bionosoft Law all looked up at once. Maybe this wasn't the best idea. The first to greet us was a line of half-metal robot lizard. "Point your fist at them and squeeze," Mr. Gregory said over the radio. Whoosh, whoosh. A laser beam of ice exploded out of my hand and blasted through every lizard, freezing them in place. "Woohoo! Ice bazooka!" Eric yelled. I didn't have time to celebrate because a green rhinoceros with an extra long, extra sharp horn galloped up on my right. "Squeeze your right hand like you're holding a sword," Mr. Gregory offered. Shing! An ice sword appeared in my hands. The rhinoceros tried to spear me with his horn, but I blocked it with the sword. We went back and forth, sword fighting, him with his razor horn and me with my icicle, for a few seconds before, shing! I cut off the horn and swoosh! Froze the rhino. "Ah!" I slapped at my head. Something big and feathery had swooped down and was trying to lift me off of Vinny. "Grab it and squeeze!" I did as the voice in my ear instructed. The huge bird froze in my hand. "Frosty fingers!" Eric celebrated over the radio. Vinny had to bob and weave through across the lawn and up the hill to avoid all the attacks, but we were now only 10 yards away from the loading dock. Unfortunately, a mob of angry creatures had formed behind us, and they were gaining fast. I turned around and iced the ground behind me. Swish! I iced until I formed an enormous frozen lake. The first wild thing, a massive white bear, stepped onto the ice and promptly wiped out on its face. That caused a man-sized walking stick behind it to trip, which made a spiky rolling thing tip over, which caused a 20 wild thing pile up on the ice. Vinny and I broke through the loading dock door, leaving the wreckage behind. "Where to now?" I yelled over the earpiece. "Straight to the warehouse," Mr. Gregory said. "All the way in the back is a door that leads to the main building. Get there before the pileup sorts itself out." I pushed Vinny through the back of the dark warehouse, but he wouldn't budge. "Come on, we gotta go." He backed up a little. "Let's move." He made a tiny whimpering noise. After a few seconds of kicking and prodding, I finally gave up and jumped off. "Look, there's nothing to worry about," I said as I stepped right into the waiting claws of a giant black bat. "Ah!" An upside-down Flamezoid rocketed me up into the warehouse rafters. By the time I got my bearings, I was hanging upside down 50 feet in the air. Screech! The bat began its flaming death screech. Guys, what do I do?" I yelled over my earpiece. "Eee!" The bat continued. "This is so bad!" Eric yelled. "You can try." Eee! The upside-down Flamezoid cut off Mr. Gregory mid-suggestion by finishing its screech and shooting fire out of its mouth at me. I put up my hands in defense, and ice blasted a wall of flame. The fire and ice met in the middle, causing a waterfall to start pouring from the warehouse rafters. We fought each other to a draw for a few moments before running out of power at the same time. We both breathed heavily as we determined our next move. Then the bat remembered that, oh yeah, it could just eat me alive. It opened its gigantic mouth, but just as it started shoving me inside, whoop! It got smacked in the face with an egg? The upside-down Flamezoid grunted. Whoop! Another egg. It let out a series of high-pitched noises to find the egg thrower with its bat sonar. I looked down and discovered the source of the irritation at the same time the bat did. Vinny! He was holding an egg in one hand and what appeared to be a baby bat in his mouth. Screech! The bat dropped me and took off for Vinny, presenting a good news, bad news situation. Good news, the giant death bat was no longer trying to swallow me whole. Yay! Bad news. Getting flattened on a cement floor is arguably less fun than being eaten alive by a bat. As I tumbled through the air, I screamed and waved my outstretched arms. Swoosh! 20 feet. 10 feet. I braced for impact, but the impact never came. instead and temporarily picked up speed before finally sliding to a stop at the far end of the warehouse. It turns out my desperate icing combined with a wild tumbling worked together to create the happy accident of an ice ramp on the ground that not only broke my fall but also spit me out where I wanted to go. Just one problem. Scream! I turned back toward Vinny and the upside-down Flamezoid across the warehouse. Vinny retreated while the bat built its flame. Vinny! I yelled. He shooed me toward the door I needed to go through with his skinny dinosaur arms. At that moment, the army of wild things from outside started pouring through the wall behind him. I'm coming for you! I got only 2 steps toward my dinosaur friend before the screeching reached its highest point and the bat unleashed a wall of fire, engulfing Vinny and the rest of the wild things behind him. Dun dun dun! What a dramatic turn of situation. Just as Jess found a friend in a dinosaur he never expected, a bat came and took it from him. Will Jess be able to survive this traumatic incident, or will he crumble to pieces emotionally, of course? That's what we'll find out in the next chapter.